Well, it's Friday, and you know what that means. That means we got AEW Rampage continuing on more with Fight for the Fallen. But however, as you know, we're only 1 week away from All In Wembley Stadium, and then of course later we got All Out, and then we move on with who's gonna level up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up. But first things first, we're going to do some reviews from some of the recent shows from our favorite Joshi promotions. The first one's going to be Stardom, with of course with continuation with the 5-star Grand Prix at Korakuen Hall. So we're going to see 5 matches in completion about that. And then of course we have the latest Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling show Inspiration that took recently as well. And of course we have some news updates, but one of them involves a follow-up on what's been going on with Cash Wheeler since the news broke down that he was arrested from a charge that was happened a couple of weeks ago. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay, right here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. So if you like this channel, we'll review all kinds of pro wrestling reviews from the various promotions. Please subscribe to us. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews from various promotions from anywhere in the world. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button, and of course, if you want to leave a comment, you can do that down below. So let's get started with our very first review. Our first one, as you know, we continue with more of the 5-star Grand Prix with Stardom. Now, we already had a recent pay-per-view, but as we speak, we just had the latest New Blood show, and of course, the latest show that's going to happen right now in Stardom. But we're going to focus on this particular show instead. This one was back on on the 15th of August in a Korakuen Hall. Our first match features Queen's Quest, consisting of Miyu Amasaki, Hina, and Lady C taking on the members of Stars, Saida, Hanan, and Koguma. Now, there's no significant stories on this particular match, but however, this match ended with an amazing muscle buster type by Saida onto Hina, which she calls the Tashi de Na onto her, and pick up a very good win. Our second match, we have Yuna Mizumori teaming up with Natsupoi to take on God's Eye, Saki Kashima, and of course Mirai. So of course, we know that Yuna will be later on the New Blood will be facing Natsupoi in a match for her assessment to see if she can join the Cosmic Angels. But right now she has to face against the members of God's Eye. But it was Mirai who picked up a good win when she applied the Scorpion Deathlock onto Yuna Mizumori and forced her to tap out, giving them a good win. Now, our last match before we continue with the 5-star Grand Prix matches, we have Oedo Tai, consistent of Ruka, the Fukigen Death, Ruka, Starlight Kid, and Asuka Tora taking on Mei Seira, Zu Suzuki, Megan Bane, and of course Nanane Takahashi. Of course, there's still some tensions going on between Nana Takahashi and Starlight Kid that goes way back until, of course, Nana issued a passion injection match, but that wasn't over. But the best part I did like is, of course, neither Zuzu or Meishira wanted to be Megan Bane's, of course, weapon, but unfortunately that person ended up being Mei Seira as the weapon. But in the end, it was, of course, the powerhouses of both sides. Megan Bane and Ruka the squared off, but it was Megan Bane with the F5 that picked up the win. Now, as I mentioned before, we have 5 matches involving the 5-star Grand Prix. The first 2 matches are Blue Star blocks. So this is who we have. We have Momo Watanabe versus Sayuri Noe. I think this is the first time those two may have crossed each other before. But this was a very intense match, if you might put it. But unfortunately, the match ended with Momo Watanabe applying the Hito de Nashe to pick up a win. Unfortunately, she put out a girl promo telling Sayuri that there's no way for her to pick up because so far Sayuri have lost 3 consecutive matches so far. So she thinks that it's already over for her. And of course, this is growing frustrations for Sayuri. This is not how she wanted her 5-star Grand Prix to be. But if I was her, I'll get back on a high horse and try to focus more. But however, Momo leaves this match with her with 6 points with 3 wins. As for Sayuri Inoi, she applied. She has 4 points. Oh, my bad. It wasn't the Hito Danashi that picked up the win on this one. It was the Peach Sunrise. My bad. So Momo applied the Peach Sunrise on Sayuri Inoi. Now the next match is a Club Venus showdown between Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa, student versus teacher. Now this was a very much anticipating match, but the obvious question does tell who's going to walk out as the victor. Will it be Mina Shirakawa, who has been now trying to proceed to have a chance of the red belt, or was it going to be Mirai, who has been now considered herself as the future foreign ace of Stardom? But I have to say it was a pretty good match. But however, the match ended with Mariah May applying the happily ever after. You can say it's an upset, and it was. So both these ladies walk out. Let's see, Mariah May has 4 points with 2 wins. I think she has the rest losses. As for Mina, she remains the same with 6 points. Now let's jump in with the Red Star block. Our first match for that, we have Azuki versus Sayuri. I thought this match was very interesting. But one thing that was really messed up is Azuki. Now, last year, Azuki had an amazing undefeated streak until she lost to Sayaka Mitani. But she so far has no points in this. But it was, of course, Suri with the Bayako that picked up the win. So I have to say this is really messed up the way they set up. So Uzuki has 0 points. As for Suri with 5, so I'm going to say 2 points with. She has 4 points with 2 wins and 1 draw. Now our next match. This is a very high anticipating match. I think many people would like to see this match again, but it's for the title. We have Mayu Iwatani versus Tam Nakano. Now, if you know the history between those two, then good for you. Now, for those who are new to the channel, who don't know what I'm referring to, let me explain this to you. Many years ago, back in 2018, Tam Nakano was a member of the faction that I mentioned, Oedo Tai. However, there was a match where, of course, they faced off their longtime rivals, Queen's Quest, but she was eliminated out. It becomes the loser leaves their unit match. So unfortunately, the person who had to leave was Tam Nakano. But it was Mayu who, in fact, helped her out to pick up to form her own unit that was dubbed later, originally called Stardom Army, Stardom Army, but later we changed it. Now, Tam has always believed that she was Mayu's second in command. However, Mayu favored Starlight Kid over her. So Mayu grew jealous the fact that, Mayu has ignored her over the years. And then back in 2022, she had enough how things have not been going well for her in Stars, so she made the choice to leave. Of course, it started out with a subgroup within Stars, and then of course, months later, she made the announcement to leave with her unit. And of course, I think right now Mayu feels like she did not anticipate seeing Tam winning the red belt. I think many of the other members of the roster, like Utami Ishida, probably would not imagine her winning the red belt. So I think that people would say she should not have won it, but she won it anyway, and that's how it goes. But this match was instant classic. Now, this match ended in a time limit draw, but Tam was this close in finally picking up a win against against Mayu Iwatani. Tam was this close. But here's the thing about the record. Tam has 3 losses to her, but 3 draws. So, but however, both sides leave with 5 points each, with one draw and 2 wins. But however, in the post-match comments, Mayu has now seen how things have changed. She saw that Tam Nakano is getting stronger and stronger. So it's only a matter of time until Tam finally will surpass Mayu Iwatani. And possibly, maybe, I would like to see if Tam wins the IWGP Women's title. And I think that's something that many people would like to see if you're a big fan of Tam Nakano. But anything's a possibility. Now, our main event features a Queen's Quest showdown, Azumi versus Utami Ishida. I have to say, this was also another good match because Azumi has many people consider her as a leader, as one of the leaders of Queen's Quest, but Azumi has always considered her as the commander. Now, Azumi is currently the longest standing member of Queen's Quest. Now, she joined Queen's Quest, I believe, in 2017. Hopefully, I'm right. But this was during the time when Io Shirai was still the leader at the time. But Utami Ishida is the current leader of Queen's Quest. But however, this was a pretty good one. But it was, of course, Azumi with the Azumi Sushi to pick up the win. I thought it was pretty great. I couldn't imagine it. So this match leaves with both of them with 4 points, with 2 wins each. That's how it wins. So we'll see how day 10 will be. But as the moment I mentioned, we did have the New Blood show, and as we speak, there should be another Stardom show happening now. But right now, let's move on with the latest show from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Okay, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Well, I'm glad I got to see this one because I hardly, for the past few months, I haven't been reviewing any of their shows completely. But I did recently did the finals of the Tokyo Princess Cup. But right now, we're doing their show called Inspiration with only 4 matches that features. Now, our very first match features Mahito Kiru versus Palm Adajuku. Now, what I liked about this match, if you guys are fans, Mahito Kiru, she is the kind of person who apologizes for what she's about to do. Palm, she's like a child who you don't know what she's gonna do. Now she brought a bag. Now the referee was a bit more like, what's in the bag? But she was distracting the referee, like, don't mind the bag. And she had some sort of object, but that doesn't really hit hard, but more like it will hurt you, hard enough, But it was like kind of like a pillow or something. I don't know. I couldn't tell. But unfortunately, that did not help. But once again, my hero replied, of course, I apologize to Palm. But in the end, it was, of course, a pretty good spine buster by Mahiro to Palm to pick up a good win. Now, our next match, we have 6-women tag match. We have Shino Suzuki, one of the members of the Up Up Girls. She teams up with Toga and Imawari. They take on Haru Kazushiro, Runa Okubo, and of course, soon to be retired later on this year, Saki Akai. Saki Akai? Yeah, Akai. But it's great seeing her. We hardly get to see her in Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. This is a rare appearance for her, but I have to say it's great that she's involved in this match. But it was her who picked up the win. I thought it was very impressive. I'm sure that Haru and Toga will learn, and Runa will learn completely from her, being a veteran for almost 10 years. But yes, so she picked up a really good win when she did some sort of like a kick onto Imawari, and just like that, it was over. Next up, we have a very interesting entertainment match. Actually, it's Iger taking on Mizuki. Now, Mizuki, as you know, she's like a little girl who's afraid of something. However, she's facing someone who is dangerous, will scare the hell out of you, bite the hell out of you, a demon type. But Mizuki did everything in her power to try to avoid that. But in the end, it was, of course, crucifix that allowed her to pick up the win. But she had to be more careful because she knows that Iger may not be happy with the fact that she lost. So it worked anyway. Now our main event, we have two of the pillars of Tokyo Pro Wrestling, Shoko Nakajima with Miyu Yamashita. I thought it was a very classic match between those two. I know those two have gone back and forth within each other, but in the end, it was Miyu Yamashita with the skull kick onto Shoko Nakajima to pick up the win. So, pretty good match. I think it was really fun, very exciting. And I think that's pretty much it what we have for Tokyo Pro Wrestling. So let's move on with AEW. Okay, AEW Rampage. We have, of course, our very first match opening up with some Lucha Libre action. Rey Fenix versus Commander. You know this is going to be one intense match. If you're not big fans of Lucha Libre, then you guys are not in the bus with me. Now, as I mentioned before, I've been a big fan of Lucha Libre as a kid growing up, watching CMLL during the Paco Alonso era. Pretty exciting stuff. Now, these two guys, of course, as you know, they're both managed by the same guy, Alex Berhemontes, but you know there's going to be some kick-ass matches, kick-ass spots that you wouldn't expect. But in the end, it was, of course, Rey Fenix with a muscle buster onto Commander to pick up the win. I thought it was very impressive, but however, I don't think Jon Moxley or Claudio Castagnoli, Blackpool Combat Club, are not impressed with Rey Fenix, even though they will meet with him at the Stadium Stampede in Wembley Stadium. Now, our next interview we have with Renee Britt Baker. As you know, this is a huge historic moment for Britt Baker. She is the last person to join the Fatal 4-Way match for the AEW Women's World Title. Now, she did remind people that Britt, as you know, was part of the very first All In show back in 2018. She was the first signee of AEW. So basically, she believes now this is going to be a great pinnacle of her career, knowing that she will be surrounded by 80,000 people in Wembley Stadium. So we'll see how that turns out, but we're probably excited how this event is going to go for her. Now, Johnny TV decided to do a congratulation video to QT Marshall. Now, if you guys don't know what's happening, in recent months, QT Marshall has been attacking Penta and AAA and try to prove that, you know, he is the Lucha Libre legend. Of course, many people would call that insulting by him, but he was able to obtain the Latin America title that Penta had. So basically, now he's obtaining a title that belongs to AAA. Now, our next match, we have the ROH World Tag Team titles. Aussie Open defends the titles against Ethan Page and Orange Cassidy. Now, you can say that this could play a very good role into the match. What if Ethan Page and Isaiah Cassidy won? Well, they probably will go to Wembley Stadium and defend them against MJF and Adam Cole. However that goes, however, in the end, it was, of course, the Coriolis onto Cassidy that picked up the win. But of course, Aussie Open, who have always established a strong tag team, they are 100% convinced that they are going to walk out as the true tag team champions. So we'll see what turns out. Now, it appears that the Righteous has finally made their way to AEW. Looks like they're abandoning their ways, and either they're going to be jumping back and forth with Ring of Honor. Who knows? Ring of Honor and AEW, I don't know. But whatever they're planning on is probably not good. Now, the Hardys had set up a video package message to none other than the Aussie Open. So, seems that they are determined to have that one last final tag team run. They target now the ROH World Tag Team titles. Now, these are titles they have held before, but it's going to be interesting to see that with them. Now, our next match, we have Sammy Guevara versus John Cruz. Those who don't know, John Cruz, he is the one person that Serpentico despise. Because he is Serpentico. He has a split personality. Shh. So, Serpentico, I know he's not happy to see him being there, but apparently, I'm sure Serpentico is laughing his ass off knowing that John Cruz got GTH. So, yeah. So that pretty much ends right there. Now, we do get a little video package of Nyla Rose, who's sending a direct message to the locker room. We know that she will probably wreak havoc at some point, but I wouldn't be caught in a crossfire. Now, our main event features women actions. We have members of the Outcast, Ruby Soho and Toni Storm, the team up, along with Saray. They challenge. They take on Sky Blue and our women AEW Women's World Champion Hikaru Shida. So I thought this match was pretty good, but of course the usual tricks and dirtiness of Outcast was going to play out. But in the end, it was of course a jackknife by Hikaru Shida to Ruby Soho to pick up the win, but things got out of the way hand. There was a brawl between both sides, and of course Britt Baker showed up, who still has an axe to grind with the Outcast. But don't forget, she is, along with Shida, Saray, and Toni Storm, they will be meeting each other at Wembley Stadium. So we'll see how that turns out. So let's move on with our final and last review, NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up? Let's find out. Our first match, we have Jay-Z Jane taking on Carmen Petrovic. Now, I have to say, this was a very interesting match. Not because it's Jay-Z Jane, it's because Carmen Petrovic had a little bit of fighting spirit that could have overturned the match. But in this type of match, you normally would see Jay-Z Jane, who has much of the better experience, to pick up the win. When Jay-Z Jane applied a somewhat of a disc lariat in order to pick up the win. But I have to say, Carmen really picked up a good part of the momentum of the match. But unfortunately, Jay-Z Jane was a far more better opponent. Now, our next match before that, we had an interview with Brooklyn Barlow, who's been out of action for a year due to a knee injury, but now she's back. But her primary focus right now is Danny Palmer. Now, Danny Palmer, as you know, has been gaining a lot of momentum ever since she first debuted. So this is going to be a good challenge for her, getting back on her feet. The real question does tell, how would this play out? Well, I have to say Danny Palmer is very athletic. She knows exactly what she's going to do. But she was able to pick up a pretty good win when she did jumped off the corner side area, do like some sort of like a spiral roll or whatever it was. But it was effective for her to give herself a pretty good win against Brooklyn Barlow. Now, our main event features Ikemen Jiro taking on Oro Mensah. Now, of course, in this type of match, Oro Mensah is not going to be alone. He'll have, what's his name? Noam Dar, the so-called not NXT Heritage Cup champion, along with Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. So there were going to be moments, but it seems like Ikemen Jiro had everything under control, but unfortunately it did not, thanks to the sudden interference by Jakara and Lash Legend that cost the match. But Oro Mensah did apply a spinning heel kick to pick up the win. So that's how it ends for now. So I think that's pretty much it for what we have for NXT Level Up. Let's move on with our last thing, news updates. Okay, news updates, so let's get started. Now, to follow up of what the situation took place with Cash Wheeler, let me recap what just took place. Earlier in the day, it was revealed that Cash Wheeler was arrested by warrant due to an incident took place with Road Rage with a firearm. Now, this thing did not happen overnight like people would assume, so there was a lot of speculations over that. This happened weeks ago. Tony Khan was well aware of the situation, and he was closely monitoring the whole thing. Now, he was released on bail, But however, this is the situation that goes around. Um, Cash Wheeler has been released from bail for $2,500. He is not allowed to get in contact with the victim, but he has only 12 hours to turn in whatever firearms he has. However, the interesting development is the judge did not force um, Cash Wheeler to surrender his passport. So it looks like that he will be, in fact, heading to All In the UK. So as long as that is happening, then we'll be okay. But we'll see how that progresses. However, but recently there's been a lot of negativity towards um, Cash Wheeler. But I have to say the very defensive words coming from none other than our current AEW World Champion, what's his name, MJF. He had this to say: kind of disappointed in how many dorks are there on this app that jump to conclusions so quick. A ton of people privilege is showing. We're all human. We're all flawed. We all make mistakes. Take it from a guy who's made more mistakes than most. I had my ups and downs with FTR, but Cash Wheeler is a great dude and a badass. If you're getting the FTR Young Bucks in front of 80,000 people plus on um, on August 27th, talk about that, you dweebs. So what's going on is that people are speculating because what Cash Wheeler went through that this match is not going to happen. It appears it will. Now, of course, MJF is saying that even though he's not on good terms with FTR, but he's willing to say that they're good people and they're a bunch of badasses. So looks like MJF is putting people on their place. Now, recent developments regarding of All In is now been foretold that All In has surpassed the number of seats that tickets have been sold from WrestleMania 32. Yes, I don't remember the exact count, but it does surpass it in the 80,000 mark. However, there have been recent people who are, especially the WWE loyalists, who are in denial. They refuse to believe that AEW surpassed um, WWE's WrestleMania 32 ticket price. Look, guys, things like this happens. We can't stop it. We can't control it. You can try to control it, but it won't happen. So that's how it rolls. Now, interesting news has come in. Pro Wrestling Noah's Kaito Kiyomiya will be making an excursion trip in October for Border City Wrestling, which is a Canadian promotion, a promotion that Scott D'Amore from Impact Wrestling is announced. He will be there on the 7th of October. Don't know exactly what's the sense of him being there, but it will be great. Wrestling Revolver has announced for the next entry for the Revolver Women's Grand Prix on the 8th of October. The Queen, Emi Sakura, will be participating, so it's great to hear that. Now, this report came from Fightful Select Scott Edwards via coming from Wrestling Reserve. Now, if you guys know this story completely, let me explain it. A while back, there's been an announcement about a Joshi Promotion here in the U.S. that could start up, but it's looked like it's coming from the New York brand. Now, they talk about the concept. They say that this is more like a Lucha Underground type show, but they did report it. Certain wrestlers will be participating, such as Risa Serra, Tomoka Inaba, and I forgot who else. But, however, Wrestling Observer has reported that it was later been told by Scott Edwards that there's been rumors about the fact that they have that this promotion has an interest in Mauro Ranallo, who was the commentator for NXT, if you guys remember him. However, that's just a rumor. Nothing has been confirmed yet. I mean, he will be a great addition to the promotion. But right now, from my understanding, I heard that he's doing boxing now. So we'll see how that turns out. And I think that's pretty much it what we have for all of our news updates. So let's just call it a day. Hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have AEW Collision. I'm pretty sure we have the Stardom show taking place at the moment. I do know we have Choco Pro as well. I'll be doing all of those as soon as possible. But at the moment, This is what I'm going to say for everyone, what's going to happen until then. But for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.